Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible, intricate world of ecosystems. We're going to peel back the layers and uncover the invisible rules that connect every single living thing on this planet.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about it? It looks like just a bunch of plants and animals, right? But it's so much more. It's kind of like a huge, bustling city where everyone has a job and everything is connected. So, what are the rules that keep this whole operation running? All right, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll nail down what an ecosystem actually is. Then, we'll check out the stage and the rules of the game. After that, we'll get into the big question: who eats who? We'll also explore all the wild ways creatures interact. And finally, we're going to put it all together with an amazing case study: the mangrove forest.
Okay, first things first. Let's get our definitions straight. To really understand ecosystems, we've got to start with the science behind them, and then, build our way up from the ground floor. And that science is called ecology. Really, it's all about being a detective, trying to untangle this incredibly complex web of life and figuring out how every single piece, no matter how small, connects to everything else. Now, this is where it gets really cool. Life is organized in layers, kind of like a Russian doll. You start with a single species, get a bunch of those living together, and you've got a population. Now, add in all the other different species living in that same area, and that's a community. And for the grand finale, add in all the non-living stuff: the sunlight, the water, the soil, and boom, you've officially got an ecosystem. All right, let's break that down a little more. You can think of every ecosystem as having two fundamental parts. You've got the living actors, and then you've got the non-living stage they perform on. So on one side, you have your biotic components. That's all the living things: the plants, the animals, the fungi, the bacteria, the whole shebang. And on the other side, you have the abiotic components. That's all the non-living stuff: sunlight, temperature, water, the minerals in the soil. These are the rules of the game. And you can't underestimate these rules. Seriously, they are absolutely crucial. Just a tiny shift in the soil's pH can completely change what can grow there. A few degrees difference in temperature affects how fast an animal's body works. The amount of sunlight literally dictates which plants win the real estate battle. These abiotic factors are the silent directors of the entire show. Okay, so the stage is set and the rules are clear. Now it's time to meet the players. And their roles? Well, they're all defined by one very simple, very fundamental question: how do you get your energy? It pretty much boils down to two teams. First up, you have the autotrophs, also known as producers. These are the ultimate self-starters, like plants, that literally make their own food from sunlight. Then you have the heterotrophs, or consumers, and that's pretty much everybody else, including us, who has to get energy by eating other living things. And this whole who eats who thing creates a kind of pyramid that scientists call trophic levels. It's the path that energy takes as it flows through the ecosystem. You've got the plants at the bottom, then the herbivores that eat them, then the carnivores that eat the herbivores, all the way up to the top predators. Oh, and you can't forget the decomposers. They are the unsung heroes, the cleanup crew that recycles everything back into the system. Now, get ready for a number, a single number that basically governs all life on Earth: just 10%. What in the world could that possibly mean? Well, here it is. The flow of energy from one level to the next is incredibly inefficient. So when an herbivore eats a plant, it only gets about 10% of the energy that plant contained. And then, when a carnivore eats that herbivore, it only gets 10% of that energy. It's a tough world out there. And here's why. A massive 90% of the energy at each step is lost as heat, or it's used for just, living, moving around, breathing, keeping warm. This one simple rule explains so much. It's why there are always way more plants than zebras and way more zebras than lions. There's just not enough energy to go around as you move up the chain. But listen, it's not all just about what's on the menu. That energy flow is just one piece of the puzzle. Organisms also interact in all these other complex, fascinating ways that really define what it's like to live in their community. And these relationships run the gamut. You've got everything from cozy partnerships to all-out war. Sometimes both sides win. Sometimes one doesn't even notice the other's there. And sometimes, it's a fight for survival. Every one of these interactions plays a vital role in keeping the whole ecosystem in balance. Let's just zoom in on a couple of these. Over here we have mutualism, a total win-win. The bird gets a free meal by eating pests off the buffalo, and the buffalo gets a free cleaning service. Everybody's happy. But then you have parasitism, a classic win-lose. The parasite here lives off its host, stealing nutrients.
Great for the parasite, but not so much for the host. Okay, enough theory. Let's see how all this stuff actually plays out in the real world. We're going to take a little field trip to one of the most amazing and resilient ecosystems on the entire planet, the mangrove forest.
Mangroves are the ultimate survivors. I mean, they choose to live in a seriously tough neighborhood. We're talking soft, mucky mud, incredibly salty water, and soil with almost no oxygen. These are conditions that would kill just about any other plant out there. So how on earth do they pull it off? Well, they've basically evolved superpowers. They have these snorkel-like roots that actually grow upwards out of the mud to breathe air. Their leaves have special glands that can pump out excess salt. And get this, their seeds actually start to sprout while they're still attached to the parent tree. So when they drop, they're ready to stab into the mud and take root immediately. How cool is that? But wait, it gets even crazier. Mangroves are ecosystem engineers. They literally build their own land. The first pioneer species to show up have these tangled roots that trap mud and sediment. Over time, this builds up the land, making it higher and drier. This allows other types of mangroves to move in, which trap even more sediment, until eventually you have a full-blown forest where there used to be just open water. This process is called succession, and it is just incredible to witness. So why does all this matter? Well, because these ecosystems are way more than just a cool science lesson. They are critically important. They act as a natural wall protecting coastlines from storms and erosion. They're a safe nursery for tons of fish, crabs, and shrimp, and they provide vital resources for millions of people around the world. And that kind of leaves us with a final, pretty heavy thought. When you start to truly see the mind-bogglingly intricate dance of just one ecosystem, the producers, the consumers, the abiotic rules, the complex relationships, you realize just how delicate that balance is. And it really makes you wonder, what does it truly mean for all of us when one of these incredible systems is lost forever?